just on the edge. It's really important that you have all the little bubbles, pieces of wood chips, formica chips, everything off the countertop. Because once you start gluing it, if you have one little speck of anything underneath there, it's going to leave a bump. Eventually that bump is going to wear a hole through it. We've got the edges on, tacked down, routed, sanded smooth. Now we're going to go ahead and put some contact cement on the laminate and on the counter itself. The secret to this is there is no secret. Just run it nice and smooth. Make sure there's no little chunks of wood or anything, no chips from the formica, nothing on it. Just make sure you're working on a very clean surface. Kind of hard in my shop because there's so much stuff going on in here, but we'll make the best of it. A lot of cabinet shops, back when I had a cabinet shop, used spray equipment to spray this glue on. Requires a bigger table, a spray room, but it's actually a lot easier because you don't end up with wood chips and a lot of other stuff in there. So you have a dedicated room to doing this. Obviously, if you look around my spots, you'll notice I don't have that dedicated room, so we just make the best of it. The only real risk is you get the too much glue or the wood chips underneath your glue, and it affects the way your formica or laminate sits on the countertop. But there's also tricks of the trade on how to get it out if you end up with something like that. So the best thing about doing a job like this is nobody will know if you mess it up because it's your own project. And you guys can do this from just a Home Depot or Lowe's. You can get all the materials you need to do a job like this. This is a perfect do-it-yourself. If you've got really ugly countertops, then this is the way to do it. For pennies on the dollar, you can do a really nice countertop job, really quality work, and end up with something that looks like a professional did. Don't be afraid. Get energized and make it have fun. So I'm trying to get that glue spread out nice and even. Making sure you get to the edges. You don't want your edges raising up on you. We're going to carefully move this to the side. So just remember, it's in the name, it's contact adhesive. So you have to have adhesive on both pieces, on the counter itself and on the back side of the laminate. Again, going to check for any kind of wood chips, any impurities. And you're going to make sure and get a good amount of glue. Really pay attention to the edges. Once you feel like you've got it spread out nice, then you can just go ahead and spread it nice and even as much as you can. You don't want big puddles of this glue. And I actually have a little bit heavy on the glue, but that's all right. It just costs you more money if you use too much, that's all. Get glue on the face, on the edges like I did a minute ago, don't worry about it. A little bit of lacquer thinner or mineral spirits will clean it right off. You don't want to overwork your glue, for sure, because eventually it's going to start getting tacky and then you're just going to make little bubbles. All right, we've got this one done. Notice it's glued. We're just feeling it to see if any tackiness. You don't really want the glue to stick to your fingers or come off. You want it to kind of stay with it, but you can feel a little bit of tackiness. If it gets too dry, it won't. All you have to do is add a little bit more glue to it and it'll reactivate it. So it's not a big deal. Take your time on this. So this is the tricky part. When you lay these pieces of laminate, remember it's contact glue, so you want to make sure you're just overhanging the edges, and I'll feel down here for about a 1/4 inch overhang, and I'll feel up here for about a 1/4 inch overhang. If I keep it at a 1/4 inch overhang like that, then as soon as I lay it down, I know it's going to cover the whole thing. But as soon as it touches, you're going to have a hard time getting it off. You could buy one of these rollers to push it down, or you can use a block of wood, whatever it takes, whatever you're comfortable with. You don't have to buy a special tool. That's one I've had for probably 20 or 30 years. So I'll press it down in the middle, and I'll just kind of work my way up and make sure I don't trap any bubbles below the surface. And again, you can just take this piece of wood, really focusing on the edges, so right on the edge of that counter where the side and the top meet. And you're putting some pretty good pressure on it. But just like on the edges, you don't want to roll over on that edge, because if you roll too hard, it'll crack it and that crack could show up. But everything you're doing, laying the big piece, is probably the most difficult, especially when there's really long pieces. So if you're doing a countertop and you feel like it's going to be really hard to align your laminate to be exactly on the edges, first off, I always cut the laminate a little bit bigger than the counter itself. But you can also get these little sticks. This is just scrap from the shop. You just make sure they're clean. They're not going to leave any little chunks of wood on here. You can get dowels. You can get whatever Home Depot or Lowe's has just to help you build your confidence when you do it. I don't normally use these. See how that stick fell off? I don't normally use this for something this small to lay, but if you've never done it, you certainly don't want to lay it wrong the first time. There are ways to fix it. You can peel it up, re-glue it, but that just takes time. So if this is your first time doing a countertop, then just get you 1/4-inch sticks or dowels, set them up like that, and then you'll be able to align your laminate to the countertop and get a perfect overhang. Notice how I bow the laminate just slightly so that I keep it up in my hand. And I kind of get it close. Because I'm not kidding, and I'm not trying to scare you. Once you get that laminate close, it sticks, it's going to be stuck. So I've checked my edges, I make sure I've got a good overhang all the way around. And then you can just start pulling these sticks out. Just turn them slightly, pull them out, push it down. Turn it slightly, pull it out, push it down. You're working your way always from the middle outward. Now, I don't recommend you use plywood broken into pieces. I just did this to kind of give you an example of how it works. So once you've got it all down, you go back to the block, and you just want to go ahead and make sure you get nice, heavy pressure on the entire counter area, the entire surface. Paying close attention to your edges. Anywhere that the top and the edge meet, you want to make sure you have good pressure. All right, now to the next phase. Remember Mama's cooking grease, Crisco. Just a little bit will do you. You want to make sure to put a little bit of Crisco in between where the edge of that and this meet. It's like the whole purpose behind it is an oil, and that keeps your router from burning the material so you don't end up with a line on it. So you're just going to put one line all the way across. You want to remember the proper rotation of the router. You want to go opposite direction that the bit is turning.